If I were Ronald, where would I hide my trophies?
Nah, too coincidental.
All right, well, here's to Angel Batista, the captain with the most passion.
Your name? Who are you?
I'm Dexter.
And there's only room in this world for one dark passenger.
No, please, no!
Tonight's the night. Dexter Resurrection, episode 3, titled Backseat Driver. I think just right off the bat, I want to say that this is by far, very easily, the strongest episode of the season so far. I think the first 2 episodes were great, but in a lot of ways, this felt like the show was truly starting with this episode. I think back to that quote that Dexter had back in the original series, like, I feel like my old self again. I feel rejuvenated, recharged, and, ready to tackle the world. And I think that sentiment plays into this episode. We've got quite a few different moving pieces. Obviously, the main plot is Dexter's, continued vetting and investigation of Ronald Schmidt, aka Red, aka the Dark Passenger Killer. We have the whole side of things with Harrison and the investigation from the NYPD and this detective who is getting very, very close to and, eventually does end up kind of figuring out everything. As well as we have a little bit more kind of mellow side plots with Blessing and the family and kind of Dexter's sort of recovery from, everything and kind of just the aspect of fatherhood and is he doing enough? Is he doing everything that he can to be there for Harrison and kind of getting that, I guess kind of confirmation from a friend that, it's tough to be a father sometimes, but just literally doing what you can and trying to be there for Harrison is what's going to really kind of separate Dexter from this kind of pinnacle bad idea, I guess, of a father that he has in his mind. And I guess, kind of a smaller side of the equation here too was Dexter, and his your car driver job, but he kind of uses this to get to Red. I want to kind of save that all for the end here. I want to kind of tackle some of this other, these other plot points before we get there. But I think let's start with Blessing. I didn't mention it a ton last week, but he feels like a spiritual successor to Brother Sam. I think he is somebody that has really taken a liking to Dexter right off the bat. It catches Dexter off guard, but is very much so welcomed into this family, to this established, way of life, and it eases him kind of into living in New York and helps him with his investigation, but also helps him with, the side of things with Harrison without, directly talking about what's going on. Is he's got this friend that is here for him, that is, given him a place to live, that has, given him a new job and a purpose and a place in a foreign city. And he mentions it is like, hey, we're both immigrants to New York, which I thought was a fun little aspect there.
I know. I love Blessing. I think Blessing is already, I don't know, crazy thing to say. It might be already in my top, 6, 7, Dexter. He's like, I was about to say top 5, but I was like, that might be a little extreme just yet. But I'm adoring him. He is the show's version of, I guess, Angel or Brother Blood or Brother Sam.
Brother Sam,
Brother Blood.
Yeah. Brother Blood. I think Dexter would be Brother Blood.
Yeah, no, I'm adoring him, and I think that's some of what maybe was missing from New Blood for me, where is this kind of it's characters like this that make it feel like a TV show, this like living,
Mm-hmm.
breathing thing. Where like New Blood had that, I guess, but it felt it didn't feel like this was like an actual TV show. And, like, you know, this was this living world. Like, you know, like those side characters kind of felt like they were.
Yeah.
It felt like they were TV characters. Where what Dexter does best, like these characters don't feel like they're from a TV show. They're just living and breathing, and they're like within this world. And I'm terrified that he's going to die. He's the kind of character that you kill off for emotional distress.
Oh gosh.
I am.
You can't have both. You can't kill Blessing and kill Batista in the same season. I swear, you better not do this.
I don't want them to kill either of them.
They better not. Yeah, they better not kill either one.
I will say just like really quickly.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok. I don't know if you saw it. I saw a TikTok where like someone was like talking about how, like, you know, all the characters that have like died like within the show. It was like right after the episode ended, and they included Angel inside the list. I guess it was like a troll post. I saw it. I was like, oh, they killed the Angel in this. What the? And like I waited like a couple of days to watch it because I was so pissed. I was like, what the hell? This is crazy. And then no one was talking about it. I was like, oh, it's probably
it was total rage bait.
Total rage bait. But yeah, no, I think like I don't know, and I guess it also depends on like if your theory is right that we're doing a new place every season, and if that's the case, like we might just kill him off, you know, because we don't need that. But I really hope that's not the case.
I certainly hope not.
I want to stay like in this apartment with these characters for a couple seasons. Like I think New York is a strong enough environment, and I think it creates enough chaos that I'm down staying here at least a couple seasons.
Let's put a pin in that when we get to the tease, I guess, at the end of the episode.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, that let's put a pin in it until there. Next big thing this episode, which is another aspect. I will get to that in a second too. The next big thing of this episode, which I actually really enjoyed a lot as well, was Harrison's story. So not only does he have to deal with the detectives investigating him further, he's also, interacting a lot with his coworker, friend, possibly girlfriend, at the hotel. There's a lot going on in that aspect, but the big thing is that the detective literally figures everything out. She puts on her headphones, locks in, and paint by numbers figures out exactly what Harrison did, how he did it, how he's feeling, why he did it, and is like, this is my theory.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just a theory, a Dexter theory.
Like I said, she is this show's like new Dexter. Like
we
have this like anti-Dexter character, which I think is kind of awesome.
I know. Well,
really
I really love this character. I think she is
me too.
Very interesting. I think, and again, the fact that she figured it out, but she's also like, I'm almost not even mad at it. You know, she's like,
oh yeah,
I know exactly why you would do this. You were defending this, this girl, and it was a heat of the moment, a crime of passion. Like this was not premeditated.
I would have given in there. I would have been like, you got me.
And I thought I really did think Harrison was going to give in. And I was like, oh my God, my theory is going to come true. But he was like, oh no, I'm homeless. I'm living in the, I'm living in the hotel rooms. Right. Like that was a good save.
Which is the truth.
That is the truth. So, and that's also the aspect too, is if you're lying, give them a little bit of the truth, right? So give them a little something. But again, this detective, she is way too smart to fall for that. I think she's just letting it be for now. Because again, I think she, in a lot of ways, agrees with what Harrison did. I think she is like, all right, cool. That's just another scumbag off the streets, and he stopped it before it went too far, right? So again, this ties into my big theory. I think eventually things are going to tie from Harrison to Dexter to the detective, and I think Dexter is going to end up working with the detective in order to keep Harrison safe, or in order to keep him out of the line of fire, so to speak, in one way or another. I think that is kind of the direction in which we're heading there. But Harrison's story was, again, kind of separate from Dexter this week. We do get Dexter kind of, checking in on him, looking after him. But then, Harry's like, hey, he's on a date now. Like, you got to kind of let him do his thing. And I thought that was, again, a kind of a nice little moment there of father watching son, right? Like, I think that's kind of cool, right? Is you have Harry watching Dexter and Dexter watching Harrison. And I think that, again, he's very apprehensive to reintroduce himself into Harrison's life. And I think that that's going to be kind of, his hand is going to be forced eventually, whether that's Harrison actually finds out Dexter is alive of his own volition, or if the connection to Batista, if that is kind of the aspect that brings Harrison into the fold, so to speak. And I guess that kind of brings us to the other side of things with the Batista story. I think let's talk about that. That's the big, elephant in the room there, is we get a nice, or a couple scenes with Batista. Number one is he gets a call from Teddy, who tells him, hey, we got to hit on Dexter's truck. He's in New York City. And that is Batista's motivation to go to New York. We see from the this season on trailer, he's going to eventually, meet up with Harrison, all of that. But beforehand, he's got to kind of wrap things up in Miami. And that's when we get, I think, a lot of people's favorite scene of the episode. The scene that was immediately posted online right after the reunion of the original crew, Batista, Masuka, and Joey Quinn back together again, in Miami, and sitting at the bar. Batista announces his retirement yet again. I think it was absolutely hilarious that Joey was like, you gonna open up another restaurant? Like, I think that was a great callback. That was funny. Masuka being like, oh, if you, do this thing, I'll support you begrudgingly, but I'll support you. I think that was hilarious too.
I think the character development of myself, like starting both those characters, me hating Masuka and hating Quinn, and now kind of loving both has
oh my
been...
god, that scene is enough to make a grown man cry.
It really was. I think what really did it for me is I think we've never seen Masuka be friends with any of his coworkers. And it makes a lot of sense that, like, these three have been working together for the last 10 years. Probably the only three left of the main cast.
Like, genuinely, like, good old buddies. And they were
they're like brothers. Yeah,
and they're sad that Batista's retiring. And he's like, hey, I've got some personal stuff to take care of. I can't tell you exactly right now. And I think, again, that's going to come back around. Like, there are elements of this season that we still don't know about. I think both Masuka and Quinn will come back. There's no way that they're here for just a short little scene. I think in the same vein as, the ghosts from the first episode, I think those actors will come back eventually too.
I'm really afraid. I think I know what's going to happen, right? I think Angel dies. I hate even saying it.
I don't want it to happen.
I don't want it to happen either, but I think, like, if I'm being honest, like, he's retiring to focus in. He's finally at the end of his chain. He's finally, gets to retire. He's going to have that happy ending, but he just can't let it go. And I don't think Dexter does it. But maybe one of the other. There's like 6 serial killers in the season, right? Like,
oh God.
I could see one of them. Maybe whoever's the main villain doing it. And at least that makes it slightly better.
What if it's Harrison?
Oh God, don't do that to me.
What if it's Harrison to protect his father?
To defend him, to keep him off the trail?
And it would literally be, no. This would be a parallel to Deb. Because what did Deb do to protect Dexter? She killed LaGuerta.
Yeah.
Batista's now doing the exact same thing, getting too close, sticking his nose somewhere it does not belong. And what is going to happen? Dexter's not going to do it. But what if Harrison's hand is forced? Whether, intentionally or unintentionally. No, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen.
I don't
want that to happen. I did also completely miss the opportunity when I was talking about Harrison to say it was obviously self-defense. Continuing. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen, but I think that there's a possibility. There's a very good possibility that Batista does not make it out of this season alive. But hey, at least we have the good memories to the greatest captain of Miami Metro.
Yeah.
Captain Angel Batista. Cheers.
Maddie said, what if Joey thinks Dexter has done it after everything theorized that Joe already knows? I think that's kind of been a thing. Like, I saw a TikTok, maybe you even sent it to me, of like,
yeah,
oh yeah, he's kind of already, like, he was on his trail years and years and
years ago. Quinn's an idiot, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. And you know, if you do kill Angel, I assume it's going to be Joey being the next one up, being, all right, Dexter, that's the last person that you do. You know,
dude, imagine like the reunion is them coming together for Angel's funeral.
No.
Oh no, I don't even want to think about this. I don't even want to think about this. Let's change the subject to something a little bit brighter. The doctor is in. Dr. Patrick Bateman, that is. I loved how he used that as his cover again. I think the phone call was hilarious. Where it's like, oh, you know, you've switched your veterinary practice to New York and everything like that, and just all of the analogies. I think Dexter really was in his element this episode. He got his M99 back. He did his little investigation into Red's apartment. He's looking for the trophies. He eyes the AC unit, and he's like, nah, like that's not where he would hide it. He finds his trophies, the driver's licenses, and everything like that. He figures out exactly where he's going to be, how to pick him up. Again, prepares himself. This is, again, Dexter back into his element. Tonight's the night. He takes the, knowledge from, this entire investigation, knowing what the MO of the Dark Passenger killer is. He sets himself up nicely. He's got the turtleneck with the little, the metal piece around it that he saw Blessing use to kind of, stop, cover up, where the rats would come in, outside the house and everything like that. And Dexter springs into action. He poses again as his, the rideshare driver, gets Red in the car, and then they have actually kind of a deep conversation a little bit, as he's kind of there. He's got the barbed wire around his neck, and Dexter has to remember, oh yeah, right, I should be scared in this situation, which I think was kind of funny. Yeah, he's like, scrounging forward, and he's like, what are you doing? Taking my life back. And I still think that it's hilarious that really the big reason he wants to kill this guy is because he stole his name. It's like the silly thing. It's like, you stole my name. Like, he keeps bringing that up multiple times. And again, okay. The best part of the entire episode, this is my favorite scene in the episode outside of the cameos, which again, the cameos are great, but you've got Red on the table. Everything's laid out. Dexter is in his classic murder attire. He's got his knife. His victim is on the table wrapped in plastic. They do their little back and forth. He mentions the open your eyes and look at what you've done, as he shows him his, trophies of all of his victims. And finally, he says, who are you? I'm Dexter, and there's only room in this world for one Dark Passenger. Kills him, the music swells. You see Dexter take that nice deep breath. He's like, he feels back, and like, I could not stop smiling at that point, which is so, like, it sounds weird to say, but I ate it up. Like, I was like, this is Dexter. And I'm like, this is what people that watched the show back when it was originally airing felt like when they saw him do something so satisfying. And again, this is episode 3. And it shows you the difference between 10-year plus experience Dexter and, fly by the seat of your pants, C to D tier level serial killer, wreaking havoc in New York.
I think it did really in some ways feel like his first kill back, right?
Yes.
It felt like New Blood he kills, but it felt like almost
they were
like a
sloppier.
test drive.
Yeah. This
yes.
felt like his first real kill back from the original series where he actually did everything properly.
Yes. It definitely felt like a return to form for Dexter and what he's doing. And again, I think this show benefits from it not being a final season, a special event, but an actual show. And I think in every regard, I think these characters who are fleshed out, the story, I'm loving the pacing of the season. The pacing is really, really, I'm really surprised.
It's great.
I feel like typically we would introduce these other round of serial killers episode 2. We had to get things going. No, we are we're going to episode 4 and we still have not really seen any of these actors yet.
No.
We haven't really.
And I think they're doing it in the perfect way. They're giving you a little taste of it every single episode. We got our singular scene with Charlie kind of getting the table set for all of their guests coming in. We haven't even seen Peter Dinklage, right? We don't know. If you didn't know, we don't know about anything. So we've got this invitation, and that's kind of where the episode leaves off, right? So Dexter finds the invitation. There's a party invite for a group of like-minded individuals, a dinner for serial killers, if you will. So Dexter finds the invite. I think it was great too that the way that he disposed of Red's body is a callback to how he incinerated Matt Caldwell back in New Blood, throw him into the incinerator on the sketchy side of town, but then he realizes, oh shoot, I need a fingerprint. So he takes the thumb off, that sort of thing. And the theory is now coming true. Dexter is going to assume the identity of Ronald Schmidt, aka Red, aka the Dark Passenger Killer, and go ahead and infiltrate this dinner for serial killers. And right now, his objective is most likely just, all right, let's see what these other like-minded individuals are up to. And this has kind of been what gets Dexter into trouble all the time. He gets curious. Curiosity killed the cat. Curiosity killed Rita. Come on. He should definitely be very, very cautious about this, but he cannot help himself but investigate. I think obviously he's going to vet everybody differently, see who he can learn from, and then take them out. I think that is right now his objective, but I want this to, again, tie back into everything. I think once the detective finds out, again, about Dexter, his connection to Harrison, confirms for herself what Harrison really did, is going to then hold that over Dexter, because maybe she's somewhat aware of all this, the serial killer convention, and maybe she, in a way, also, again, she's so good at her job, she probably finds out that Dexter took out the Dark Passenger Killer too, and is like, hey, your son did this thing, don't worry, I'm not mad. I know you did this thing, don't worry, I'm not mad. You're doing something that I physically cannot do as a NYPD officer, but here's what I can offer you. Again, I think that the idea of Dexter working as a CI for this detective, once again, bringing it full circle to his mother, who worked as a CI for Harry, him being the man on the inside, trying to take down these serial killers, but I think where the conflict is going to come up is Dexter wants to learn as much as he can from these other killers. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to die that should not die, and they're going to get mad at him for not taking care of the situation sooner. We know that Dexter is the best at what he does, and I'm sure he could take down all of these killers in an afternoon. But again, I'm very excited to see where that goes, and that is the direction of the season now, is we have Batista as kind of a big antagonist who's now investigating Dexter, will be investigating Dexter in New York. Harrison has just like almost gotten his entire life blown up and is going to try to get back onto, some semblance of a normal path, wherein Dexter has reclaimed his life. He is, taken back his life and his name and his identity, and is now again going to go try and learn something from some other killers. And I think that this is going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out and how everything is going to overlap, which I think it will. Very much so.
I think it's going to be very fascinating kind of bringing out the fanboy of Dexter. Like, I feel like
Yes.
that's something we've dabbled with quite a bit, especially with the whole, like, Trinity Killer case. Like, he didn't kill him because he was like, I don't want him to teach me.
Yes,
I'm fascinated by what he does. So it's like Dexter's going to, like, serial killer Comic-Con. And I think
Yes,
that's
that's exactly
idea.
what it is. And again, he literally, in the original series, I believe he made a comment about it. He's like, I wonder what the other serial killers do. Do they go and gather at conventions or whatever, discuss trade secrets and that sort of thing? And that's exactly what's happening here.
I also wanted to bring up like one of the comments that I thought was very fascinating from this episode from Harry.
Yeah,
he's like, he's like talking about getting old, and he's like, how did you deal with being old? It's like, I didn't do it very long, Dex.
I didn't experience old for very long.
And I was like, I think it's very fascinating that now Dexter is at a point where he is about as old as his father was, and eventually I think he's going to become older. And I think there's a lot of in the original show commentary on getting older. He mentions it quite a bit. It's like, I never imagined what my life would be as like an old man, and he envisions his life as this older version of himself. There's even that episode, is it season 8, where he's like taking out the like really old serial killer, and he's like, is this what I'm going to become someday?
Yeah.
So I think the
right.
commentary just throughout the show's run, I'm very excited about like kind of like middle-aged Dexter. I think it's fascinating, and
how he's going to have legacy? To change, right? And I think we're already seeing how he has to change his approach, because he cannot be as physical as he used to be. But again, you're right though. Is I think he's going to take this opportunity though to learn as much as he can from these other killers. And I'm going to be very interested to see how his relationship develops distinctly from all of them. I think the only one that he is going to let in on who he really is, maybe not, is going to be Kristen Ritter's character. I think she is really the big key to a lot of this, in one form or another. And I know that the creators have said, like, we're not going to make it super clear who the big bad of the season is. And they're setting it up as like, oh, Prater is the big villain. Like, but what if it's Uma Thurman's character, Charlie? What if it's Kristen Ritter's character, Lady Vengeance? What if for whatever reason it's David Desmalchian? Like, who knows? Like, who knows who the villain is? I think...
I would be completely shocked if it's ultimately like Angel or something, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the villain is Batista right now.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, ultimately Batista is the villain in the same way LaGuardia was the villain in Season 7. Or a villain of Season 7. I believe it's also the highest rated Paramount Plus premiere, I think, in the streaming service's history. Yeah, it was, great Rotten Tomatoes scores and everything like that. Again, I have not seen one negative review on Dexter Resurrection. I don't think I've seen anybody badmouth the show at all, outside of, like, pointing out some, like, silly little, like, plot holes or contrivances, that sort of thing, but no, like, legitimate critiques of, like, oh, I wish this was better, or I wish this story was better. Like, no, there's none of that. It is literal perfection. Literal perfection.